What's up, guys? Dan here for BladeReviews.com, coming at you with another knife review. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Brous Blades Silent Soldier Flipper. And if you're not familiar with Jason Brous of Brous Blades, he is a custom knife maker out of California who also does a number of mid-tech knives, most notably his Brous Blades Silent Soldier neck knife, this being the folding version of that knife. And of course he also does one-off custom pieces, and he's also getting into some production work as well. He's getting together with companies like SOG Knife and Tool and bringing some of his designs to life on the large scale. So he's an interesting guy with a lot of fingers in a lot of pies, and today I'm pleased to bring you a slice of his very first folding effort. This is the Silent Soldier Flipper, limited to 500 pieces, mid-tech kind of grade. Factory machine, but hand assembled and tuned, so very interesting knife. I've got some quick specs for you, then we'll get into it. So what we have here is a knife with an overall length of 6.375 inches, a 2.7 inch long blade, and a weight of 4.2 ounces. So this is a small but chunky folder, and to help illustrate that, I've got a couple small but chunky size comparisons. First up, the Boker Pipsqueak, cool little folding knife, and then I've got the Spyderco Techno, another cool little folding knife. So here you go. You can see that the Silent Soldier Flipper is just a little bit longer than both of these other knives, but it is still comfortably in the small knife category. So with that said, let's take a closer look at it. First up, what might you use this one for? For me, it's been an EDC knife, although I can't say I've really hard used it, but it's been kind of a little bit of an EDC knife for me. It's also definitely been a collectible. It's one of the more interesting knives in my collection right now, so it's definitely just like a pride of ownership and collectible thing as well. And finally, Jason does advertise this as something of a fighting knife, a self-defense knife, if you will, a martial blade. For those martial arts experts out there. Now guys, I am not a martial arts expert. I do not have any formal training, so I'm not going to be able to offer you any insights as to how this knife really works in that capacity, but I will kind of touch on it a little bit as we go throughout the review here. There are some kind of obvious things about it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have a lot more to say on that subject. So let's take a look at the blade here. What you've got is a Wharncliffe shape, straight out of the Silent Soldier neck knife design here. Interesting sloping kind of curve to the spine of the blade. You've got a very fine tip. You've got a partial flat grind. You have a large finger hole. Interesting kind of decorative partial swedge here, and some serious jimping that you can see. It defines the profile of the knife. And turning the blade over, you've got a very thick piece of steel here. Tapes out to 3/16 of an inch thick, or 4.76 millimeters. So very wide, especially for the relatively short 2.7 inch long knife here, or blade. And the steel is D2, which is a semi-stainless steel. I like D2 a lot. I know Jason uses a lot of D2, so I think it was a great choice for him here. D2 is considered a semi-stainless steel, so not completely stainless, but it's not going to rust as easily as a real high carbon tool steel like 1095 or 1085. That said, I've had no issues with rust at all. It's reasonably easy to sharpen. It might take a little bit of specialized tools, like if you've got some diamond stones, probably make things go a little bit faster than regular ceramics. But once you get a nice edge on here, it tends to hold on to it, and it's also very tough. So I like D2 a lot. Alright, that pretty much takes us through the blade. Let's take a closer look at the handle here, which has got some lovely carbon fiber scales over full titanium liners. And then you've got a partial stainless steel backspacer. Now, I think this backspacer is cool because it's got the Brous Blades name etched into the back of it here. I guess this part has been sandblasted or media blasted, and it leaves kind of a cool ghost effect. Brous Blades. I like that a lot, especially since there's no other hallmarks or branding on the knife, so really clean. And then you got this subtle little detail. I just think that's really cool, and something I look for in a special knife like this. So very nice. Brous Blades is there. Overall construction is excellent. You'll see it screws together, and everything lines up really well. So hopefully I can take you in there and you can kind of check that out a little bit. But construction is top notch. Let's check out the ergonomics on this one, and this is where having some sort of martial arts experience might be handy, because there are a bunch of different ways that you can grip this knife, tons of different configurations that could be used in a self-defense kind of role or a tactical role even. I'll just say it's very comfortable in all the ways that I've gripped it. That is thanks in part to a very nice wide handle and the fact that everything has been meticulously rounded. All the edges have been chamfered. Inside the thumb hole, or not the thumb hole, but the finger hole, it's been rounded as well. Extremely comfortable. The only sharp edge on this knife is the cutting surface, and that's the way it should be in my opinion. The jimping is fairly sharp, but it's not like tear your skin up sharp. It's very effective and just makes for an extremely comfortable knife. Got a couple different finger choils here, by the way. That's pretty cool too. So very ergonomic, tons of options. There's a lot to like about the ergos on this knife. Let's look at the pocket clip here. It is stainless steel and has been given kind of a semi-glossy finish, not quite a matte finish, not quite a satin finish either. It's a nice design. It's got great retention, and it inserts and removes easily from the pocket. Also, since you got carbon fiber here, it's not going to tear up your pants. And I could see this being worn with some nice dress pants or something, almost a gentleman's folder, so I could see that being kind of important. People note that it is not tip up, it is right side tip down carry only. For me, I would definitely prefer to see tip up carry. That's just how I like to do things. But you can tell the clip is special. It's been designed to kind of integrate with the pivot here. I'm sure a lot of time and effort went into it. And in practice, it carries very well like this. So not the deepest carrying knife that I have, but it's completely reasonable for my kind of uses. And like I said, it's a nice sturdy clip. So there's a lot to like here. Might like to see some tip up carry though. Let's talk a little bit about the deployment. Being the Silent Soldier flipper, the knife flips open, and it flips open very fast and very smooth, thanks in part to some ball bearings in here, which are going to be difficult to see, but trust me, they're in there, and yeah, it makes for an extremely smooth opener. This flipping design, it's a little bit different from other flippers that you've probably owned if you're unfamiliar and haven't handled this knife in particular. It requires a slightly different approach, one that I probably haven't mastered. I know Jason has got some information on his website, but I'll tell you, I got no issues flipping it open as is. The first flip or two, I kind of fumbled with it, but you quickly get it, and it becomes very fast and very reliable. So I like the flipping action a lot. Lockup is very good, thanks to the little titanium liner lock here. You can see, engages early. There's no blade play, up, down, side to side at all. And the only real issue I have is the fact that it sticks a little bit, and maybe you can hear this. So it definitely does stick. And that brings me to a little point of constructive criticism. I would probably prefer, actually I would definitely prefer to see a stainless steel liner here, on the locking side at least. I appreciate the titanium, it's lightweight, and I think it's a great choice here for the non-locking side, but titanium's a little bit softer than steel, it tends to get sticky, it tends to wear a little bit faster than a stainless steel liner. I can't help but think that it might be a better choice for a knife like this. Of course, that said, I don't have any real issues with it. The stickiness is not a big problem, but just something for Jason to consider in future iterations and new designs down the road. But that pretty much takes us through the knife, covers all the nuts and bolts at least. I think as far as an overall design goes, it's really cool. There's nothing else quite like the Silent Soldier flipper, and there's a bunch of interesting details that you can get lost in with this knife. High-end finishes, great materials, made in the USA by a small custom knife maker, and just a really cool design. So I got a lot of nice things to say about the Silent Soldier flipper. I do recommend checking one out. They're not cheap, but if you can get your hands on one, very interesting piece. And that's pretty much it. So let me know if you have any comments or questions, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another knife review.